And this new team on my Fool's Gold list, finally, people are finally turning the page on this team. And they're showing how overhyped they are. Now, if you ask their fans, they say that, oh, we have all these injuries. Everybody in the NFL has injuries this year. I mean, it's just injuries galore, okay? But finally, people are turning the page on the 49ers. That's right. The 49ers are fool's gold. They lose to the Seattle Seahawks, just shooting themselves in the foot. I don't care that Ayuk's out. The guy was doing shit before that. The guy was trash, okay? He looks like garbage after you gave him that contract. So I don't want to hear it. You still got Jennings, and you still got Deebo Samuel and CMC, and you guys lost to the Seahawks? I am sorry. You're 5-5 now. You're 0-3 in your own division. You are probably not making the playoffs. I would bet money that the San Francisco 49ers do not make the playoffs. So I am sorry. They play the Packers and the Bills the next two games, and then the Bears. But the next two games they could possibly lose, okay, and be 5-7. So don't buy the hype of the 49ers. Finally, people are turning the page on them. Another thing to keep in mind here is that nobody's really scared of the 49ers defense anymore. I don't want to hear about injuries. Everybody's beat up in the NFL right now. So I don't want to hear it. They had to make some sacrifices to keep guys on this on their squad by giving them big contracts, and they caused some few defenders to leave that team. And now they're seeing the reap of it. The 49ers defense is not that scary anymore. Previous years, the 49ers defense was ruthless. You had to watch out because they would get after your quarterback, turn over the ball. Now, average or worse than average. Nobody's scared of this team. And it's time to talk about Shanahan not closing out games. I think it's 2 or 3 times this year where they had the lead in the fourth quarter in like the last couple minutes and they blow the game. I mean, there's a trend here. I think he's like one of the worst coaches closing out teams. And, that's not a recipe to winning a Super Bowl. So I know the 49ers are 5-5, but I'm just saying they got so much hype before the season started, and now they're falling apart. And yes, they had some injuries, but this is more than injuries, okay? This is a culture. They may be missing the defensive coordinator. They lost him in the offseason, so maybe that has to do something with it. But I'm sorry. Their offense looks plain. CMC didn't do so much. I know he's still coming off from injury, but this is his second game in. Mason didn't even look that good. So even like I said, Jennings was the only bright spot in that team against Seattle. But like I said, finally they're turning the page on the 49ers. I feel like they're going to need to do a little mini rebuild here because they're going to be tight for cash. But you know what? I'm glad to see it. The 49ers are finally coming down to earth, and people are finally realize they're not that great, and most likely they're not making the playoffs.